I'm Tara Merchiner. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, expanded operations, a major announcement from the Israeli military amid the push for peace in the Middle East. The eyes of Texas. Republicans in the Lone Star State are set to approve a new congressional map. We have the latest. Unhealthy outlook. A new report details the growing use of assisted suicide in Canada. We have analysis from Alex Schadenberg. Plus, a moving experience, why a historic church in Sweden is changing locations. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
And thank you for being with us on the Feast of St. Bernard of Clairvaux. Our top story tonight. As President Donald Trump tries to end the war in Gaza, the Israeli military announced plans to call up tens of thousands of reservists for an expanded operation. One official says the aim is to target Hamas's underground tunnel in the Gaza city. And this comes as Pope Leo asks for prayers. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Tara, similar to Ukraine, the war in Gaza drags on as well, coming up on 2 years. And tonight, the Israeli military will deploy 60,000 reservists as prospects for peace remain elusive.
A large explosion seen early today on the Gaza skyline from southern Israel. Now, 22 months into the war, in addition to 60,000 reservists being called up, service is being extended for 20,000 others currently serving. Troops will operate where Israel believes Hamas is still active. It comes as Hamas says it has accepted a proposal from Arab mediators for a ceasefire. Israel has not yet responded and says it is still committed to defeating the terror group. In the White House briefing room, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt earlier telling reporters,
I don't think it's a coincidence that Hamas accepted this proposal after the President of the United States posted a very strong statement about this conflict on Truth Social. As for this proposal that Hamas has now accepted, the United States continues to discuss it, and I'll let the President weigh in on it definitively.
In that post, President Donald Trump writing, we will only see the return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted and destroyed. The sooner this takes place, the better the chances of success will be. Remember, I was the one who negotiated and got hundreds of hostages freed and released into Israel and America. But many warn an expanded assault could deepen the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. People displaced, the threat of famine, and rubble everywhere. Today, more aid provided by international donors airdropped over Gaza, though some argue it's unsafe and inefficient. And Pope Leo calls for a day of prayer and fasting for peace, not only in the Middle East, but also in Ukraine and the rest of the world.
Venerdì prossimo, il 22 agosto,
the Holy Father asks all the faithful to devote this Friday to pray for peace and justice, and to ask God to comfort the victims of war. Among the victims, children. Earlier this week in Gaza, tearful children taking part in a graduation ceremony. Many lost one or both parents since the conflict started.
Also tonight, Israel approving a settlement project in the West Bank, effectively cutting it in two. And just recently, some Western countries announced their plans to recognize a Palestinian state. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
All right, let's discuss now with retired Army General Mark Kimmett. He is a former Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs in the George W. Bush administration. General Kimmett, thank you so much for joining us. I want to get your reaction to Israel calling up 60,000 reservists for an expanded offensive in Gaza City. What is Israel trying to achieve with this?
Well, it's quite simple. The Israelis are clear that they are going to take Gaza. From my own experience, city fighting is the most manpower intensive and in many ways the cruelest type of warfare there is. If they want to take over a Gaza City in a tactical operation, it's going to take that large number of additional troops. Required tactically, we can talk about it strategically differently.
We're also hearing reports that Hamas has accepted a new ceasefire proposal similar to the one previously supported by the U.S. Could this offensive be a negotiating tactic, do you think, or is Israel truly preparing for a prolonged campaign based on what you know at this point?
Well, I think it's both. Israel is certainly preparing for a longer campaign, a tougher fight, do what they can to defeat and destroy Hamas. However, if a good enough deal came across, then I think they would have to sit up and listen. But from my understanding of what Hamas accepted is not sufficient for the Israelis. It's an insufficient proposal by Qatar and Egypt, and I would suspect that they're going to wait for better terms.
There are also many Israelis who fear renewed combat could endanger the remaining hostages. In your view, does this kind of offensive increase or reduce leverage in hostage negotiations with Hamas?
Well, I think the only thing that Hamas has demonstrated that it listens to is pure violence. So it is unfortunate. I think that if the negotiators were able to get Hamas to release the hostages, I don't think there would be an offensive. If they do hang on to the hostages, well, it's just a matter of time before Hamas either starves them to death or kills them. But I want to make sure that we all remain focused on one thing. It is Hamas that is holding the hostages. The children and wives and families that are starving in Gaza are not getting sufficient food simply because Hamas is holding on to the hostages. All this would be over if Hamas released the hostages.
Even if Israel achieves the full military control, what would post-war Gaza look like? Can any form of stability emerge without a clear, internationally backed political plan, do you think?
Well, I think the first thing they have to have is an internationally approved security plan. You can't just have the Israelis walk out one day and leave a security vacuum behind, because you can be certain that what fills that security vacuum is not in the best interest of the people of Gaza, nor is it in the best interest of the world. I don't think we're going to see a political settlement, a political resolution, because again, the whole demand is for a two-state solution, and right now that's so far into the future that it's has nothing to do with the present situation.
All right, General Mark Himmett, thank you for your perspective. We really appreciate that. Thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Texas Republicans say they are on the cusp of a major victory concerning a new congressional district map. However, state Democrats say any victory will be short-lived as they vow to let the courts weigh in. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us now with the latest. Eric.
Well, good evening, Terry. Yes, all eyes are on the Lone Star State tonight. Texas Democrats are doing all they can to prevent this vote from happening. They've introduced more than 13 amendments, and that's what they're doing right now, is going through those amendments one by one. You may recall that they also skipped town for several weeks. That's because any new congressional map could give the GOP 5 additional seats in Congress. And even though most of the Democrats are back in Austin, they say that this process is not done, that the issue will likely end up in the court.
Democratic districts all around this country are drawn by nonpartisan commissions. And here you have Republicans who are continuing to abuse the system, to lie, cheat, and steal their way into power, and we turned a blind eye to it.
Prior to the vote, Republican House Speaker Dustin Burrows ordered Democrats who had fled the state to have round-the-clock law enforcement escorts to ensure that they would be on hand when the chamber reconvened.
The doorkeeper will lock the doors.
While other Democrats complied, State Representative Nicole Collier refused. Instead, she settled in at her desk and spent the night on the floor.
I am exercising my constitutional right to oppose. I just don't feel comfortable. I feel like this is wrong, that they are exercising this type of control over another person just to get what they want.
Republicans defend their actions, saying the courts allow them to do so.
Just like your opposition groups are working with counsel against this plan.
So you never asked counsel?
Well, let me finish. So counsel told me that they had checked everything legally, did everything analytically, and absolutely assured me this bill is proper form and legal.
If the House does pass the measures, the state Senate will vote on a new map possibly tomorrow, and the governor says that it could be signed into law by the end of the week. In response to Texas, California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is going forward with redrawing congressional maps aimed at putting 5 more Democrats into the U.S. House. 2 committees advanced a trio of bills that ask voters to amend the state constitution and approve the new maps.
The Senate Elections Committee is now adjourned. Thank you.
And a vote is expected tonight, and it's likely going to pass. Republicans add that there is a big difference between Texas and California. That's because Texas's constitution allows for redistricting, while California Democrats are simply trying to change constitutional law, and that would require voter approval. And by the way, other states are also considering to redraw their congressional maps. Missouri, New York, Maryland, Florida, and Wisconsin, just to name a few. They're all watching very closely on what's going to happen tonight in Austin. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
Eric, thank you. NATO defense chiefs are deciding what security guarantees they could offer Ukraine in a high-stakes video conference earlier today. 32 defense leaders across the alliance held a, quote, candid discussion. Ukraine is pushing for more weapons, training, and Western backing to bring an end to the 3-year war. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov criticized the talks for excluding Moscow.
Now it is proposed to resolve security issues, collective security without the Russian Federation. This will not work. We've already explained more than once that Russia does not inflate its interests. We will firmly and harshly ensure our legitimate interests. I'm confident that in the West, and above all in the US, they understand perfectly well that seriously discussing security issues without the Russian Federation is a utopia and a path to nowhere.
This comes as Russian strikes overnight hit civilian areas in Ukraine's Sumy and Odessa regions, injuring at least 15 people, including 3 young children. And Switzerland says it is open to asking the ICC to exempt it from sanctions in order to host a face-to-face summit between Russian and Ukrainian leaders. Hurricane Erin is strengthening again. The storm is sending dangerous waves from the Carolinas to New York City. Officials have closed beaches in several states now, and a state of emergency has been declared in North Carolina, where evacuations are underway in parts of the Outer Banks. Erin is expected to peak in the next 48 hours before turning out to sea. Meanwhile, the National Hurricane Center is also tracking 2 more storm systems forming east of Erin. We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly. New numbers from Canada show a disturbing trend. We'll tell you what it is proving to be more deadly than Alzheimer's and diabetes combined. And on the move, why officials are moving this church little by little. Church leaders are reacting after a measure to legalize assisted suicide in Uruguay moves closer to becoming a law. In a statement, the Uruguay bishops say in part, quote, "We reiterate our support for palliative care that cares for and accompanies the patient with dignity." The bishops also thanked pro-lifers in Uruguay, saying they are grateful for those who work for, quote, "a culture of care, respect for the gift of life, and support for those who, due to their illness, are in a vulnerable situation." Well, last week's vote moved assisted suicide out of the lower House of Representatives. It now heads to Uruguay's Senate, which is expected to approve the measure. The South American country's president says he supports the proposal. A recent study says Uruguay is now one of the least Catholic countries in Latin America. 47% of its residents profess no faith at all. And now to Canada, where a new report says doctors there are struggling to keep up with the requests for assisted suicide. The article appears in the current issue of Atlantic Monthly. It says around 1 in 20 deaths in the North American country are by euthanasia. That's more than Alzheimer's and diabetes combined. The Atlantic story's subheadline is "The country gave its citizens the right to die." Doctors are struggling to keep up with demand. And for more, we turn to Alex Schadenberg, Executive Director of the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition. He is based in Canada. Alex, thank you for joining us. First off, tell us a little more about this report. Did anything in there surprise you?
It's more the complete nature of the report. This was an article that took a look at all these issues around euthanasia in Canada, and really shows the, how would you say, the misuse, the wide-ranging use of the law. The problem with the law from the beginning was a couple things. Obviously, it allows doctors and nurse practitioners to kill their patients, but on top of it, it was very vague from the beginning. So therefore, who the doctors killed was really up to whether the doctor was willing to kill them or not. It's pretty wide.
Wow. We know the Atlantic story came out just a few days ago. Has there been any reaction in Canada so far to speak of?
It's funny how the major media tends to ignore these things. They tend to want to stay away from it. The fact of it is this article is excellent because of how it puts everything together. Like even the concept in Europe, where they're debating this issue of completed life, meaning that someone asks for them to have their life ended based on just saying I'm too old, etc. Even that is a problem in Canada, and it hasn't even been a controversy. And as you know, in Canada, we're now debating euthanasia for children, euthanasia by advanced request, euthanasia for people with mental illness alone. And the article points all these things out. It also points out how these doctors are really conflicted by some of these issues, but are doing it anyway.
I would imagine so. So we've also mentioned the assisted suicide vote in Uruguay. How do you see that playing out as it moves to the Senate and it appears on the path to becoming law?
Well, Uruguay is a serious issue because it would be another South American country that's allowing euthanasia. But the Senate, I hear, is more conservative, so we'll see what happens. The problem is the Uruguay president supports euthanasia also. So they're really pushing hard to get this. Now, we're looking at all these issues. I don't understand why countries are doing this, considering the fact that they're giving someone the right in law to kill you. And if you consider a country like Uruguay, which has a lot of social inequities, this would even be so much more scary for people going through a difficult time in their life. But it's not only Uruguay, as you know, there's other countries now also that are right in the middle of the votes on this. You know, you have England, the UK, that recently passed an assisted suicide bill in their House of Commons, and it's going on now to be voted on in the House of Lords pretty soon. There seems to be a major push, and as I say again, the whole concept of giving your doctor the right in law to kill you, to me, is pretty scary and beyond where we should ever go.
In Canada and Uruguay, do you think the church leaders are doing enough to fight assisted suicide?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm right now in Manitoba doing a speaking tour where I'm actually speaking to pastors. It was, arranged for me to be doing this, and so this is what I'm doing. But the fact of it is it's very hard to know what's happening in Uruguay. I'm sure the church has been standing up against it. In my own country, there's been some of our Canadian bishops have been very excellent in fighting euthanasia, but many of them have also been very quiet about it. So it's a very difficult situation, but the fact is that they should be speaking out very loud. A lot of them don't know what to say. And I always say, don't complicate the issue, please. This is about people having the right in law. Doctors, nurse practitioners in my country have the right in law to kill you. This is, the other side wants to play language games. They want to confuse the issue, and we need to be clear and very clear about what this actually is.
So obviously this is very concerning to an awful lot of people. What other stories are you following? Any other euthanasia votes also that we should be monitoring at the same time?
Well, as you know, France is also debating euthanasia. So France had a vote in their assembly, in the assembly they passed their euthanasia bill, and now it's going to be going on to their the upper house. Their president also supports euthanasia. We have countries that have been debating this euthanasia issue, such as Italy. They had bad court decisions. Germany had a bad court decision. So it's really quite concerning. And if we look recently at Slovenia recently passed an assisted suicide bill, but the people are putting together a referendum to try and take it to the people to overturn that law. It seems like a tidal wave in so many ways, and yet the reality is too many people are afraid to say what this actually is, and I think this is part of the problem. And I tell people, don't be afraid to talk about what this actually is. This is about killing people, and I'm clearly opposed. Like, killing people is just a bad idea, and what is the end result is the whole dehumanization of the human person.
So many moving parts and a lot to watch here. Alex Schattenberg, Executive Director of the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And tonight after EWTN News Nightly, a 30-minute special on the situation in South Sudan, including an interview with a priest from Ireland who has spent 40 years as a missionary in Africa.
The youth see the church as very much to the forefront in regards to education and development. They see the Catholic Church as being a very modern influence in their society.
Again, that's an EWTN News 30-minute special on South Sudan, the youngest nation in the world. It is hosted by EWTN's Colin Flynn, and you can see it tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern and also on our YouTube page. Up next on EWTN News Nightly, a path to freedom. What the Holy Father says we can all do to become like Christ and be truly free. Plus, an historic church hits the road, all that and more. Officials in Sweden save a historic church by moving it away from an iron mine that is gradually sinking. The 113-year-old Lutheran church is located in a mining town near the Arctic Circle. It weighs more than 600 tons and traveled to its safe location at the rate of around 1,600 feet per hour. The Arabian Peninsula now has new patron saints. This after the Dicastery for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments approved a new regional calendar for the Apostolic Vicariate of Southern Arabia. Saints Peter and Paul are the new patrons of the Vicariate, as well as the Blessed Virgin Mary under the title of Our Lady of Arabia. Also included are saints connected with the spread of Christianity in Arabia, such as Saints Cosmas and Damian. Every November 5th, the Vicariate will commemorate all deceased missionaries who served the region. Well, Pope Leo reminds the faithful that it is never too late to love and forgive, even at the darkest moment, and that forgiveness is the ability to set the other free.
È qui che il perdono si rivela in tutta la sua potenza.
It is here that forgiveness reveals all its power and manifests the true face of hope. It is not forgetfulness. It is not weakness. It is the ability to set the other free, while loving him to the end. Jesus' love does not deny the truth of pain, but it does not allow evil to have the last word. This is the mystery Jesus accomplishes for us, in which we too, at times, are called to participate.
At the weekly talk, the Holy Father reflected on how, despite being betrayed at the Last Supper, Jesus loved his disciples until the end. Just as he offered a morsel to Judas, the Pope explained that God does everything to reach us, even in the hour when we reject him. To forgive, the Pope explained, does not mean to deny evil, but to prevent it from generating further evil. Rather, forgiveness frees those who give it, it dispels resentment, it restores peace, and it returns us to ourselves. Many are wondering where Pope Leo's first journey abroad may take him. In a local interview, Lebanon's Cardinal Rai suggested that his first trip will be to Lebanon in the months to come. Though the exact timing is still unknown, the Cardinal said they are waiting for the Vatican to announce it. EWTN Vatican correspondent Valentina Donato has more.
Pope Leo XIV could visit Lebanon by the end of the year, according to the country's senior Catholic official, Cardinal Beshara Boutros Rai. The potential visit has not been confirmed by the Vatican, and Cardinal Rai, who is the patriarch of the Maronite Catholic Church, did not give a specific date for the visit during his interview with Saudi-based television station Al Arabiya. But he did note that preparations are already underway for the visit. And there's much speculation around the announcement for the first visit outside of Italy for Pope Leo XIV. The Vatican has not made an official announcement just yet for any official international trip for the new pontiff. But many expect his inaugural trip to include Nicaea, Turkey, which would mark the 1700th anniversary for the First Ecumenical Council celebrated this year, a trip Pope Francis was set to make. Some reports say that a trip was being planned to Lebanon that could also include Turkey. The first international trip is closely watched as it sets the tone for any pontificate. In Rome, Valentina Di Donato for EWTN News Nightly.
Today, the church celebrates St. Bernard of Clairvaux. Born in 1090, Bernard left his home at age 20 to join a monastery. While there, he helped in the reform of the Benedictine order through the Cistercian order. A mystic and powerful preacher, he helped end a schism in the church, founded more than 160 Cistercian communities, and is traditionally credited with composing the earliest version of the Great Marian Prayer, the Memorare. St. Bernard died in 1153 and was canonized in 1174. He was named a doctor of the church in 1830 by Pope Pius VIII. St. Bernard of Clairvaux, pray for us. And we thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Tara Mergener. Good night and God bless.